Can you tell me a little bit about ECO-UNESCO and what type of work you do?
Yeah, well, ECO-UNESCO, we're an environmental education and youth organisation. We were founded in 1986 by a group of young people who came together and they wanted to, they wanted to get young people involved in protecting and conserving the environment and interested in environmental issues. So they set up an organisation for young people. And I suppose the idea around that was that it was to try to upskill young people, also build their knowledge and awareness, and then also empower young people to take action. So that's really still what we do. I mean, our tagline is conserving the environment, empowering young people, or conserving, protecting the environment, empowering young people. So we empower young people through a range of different programs that we offer. I suppose our target group are mainly, we cover the 10 to 25 age group, but the target group is really the teenage years. We would say probably 13 to 19 are where most of our work takes place. And we work on a national level. We have a Young Environmentalist Awards programme, and that's really about getting young people together in groups, looking around their own communities, looking around their own areas, seeing what issues relate to sustainability or the environment that they're interested in, or issues that might be there that they want to do something about. They then carry out, come together, do an action plan, and do basically an action project. So the idea being that young people get hands-on experience at a local level and do that work.
And how much has partnership and collaboration working been part of your journey?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we would say that we're probably working in collaboration all the time, because yes, we would have our own ECO-UNESCO groups and clubs, and we would have, for example, a Youth for Sustainable Development programme that we would, a peer education and training programme that we run, but really we're working all the time with other youth services, with other organisations. We're working with youth reach centres, we're working with schools, and we link in with them on an ongoing basis.
Is there any one organisation or one partnership that you'd like to highlight that you think has been particularly effective?
I suppose from over the years we've so many different kind of groups that we've worked with on different projects. So we've had the practice-based kind of collaborations, which I've mentioned through our direct delivery. Then we also have the advocacy ones. So we, for example, we're parts of Coalition 2030 now. We're Stop Climate Chaos. We're also have partnered with UNESCO this year on the delivery of youth leadership programs. So I suppose from an international level, I would say yes, our partnership with UNESCO is very important to us, because we're linking internationally, and we're able to provide opportunities for Irish young people to link in with an international organisation. So that's hugely important, and it always has been hugely important. But this year we developed that partnership and that collaboration even further, and we ran in partnership with UNESCO, ran the regional training for Europe, which was on their leadership and education for sustainable development, and we ran that here in Ireland. So that was very successful. I suppose other kind of partnerships, I would be kind of thinking of the things that we're obviously members of a range of different kind of organisations. So we're members of the National Youth Council of Ireland. We'd link in with them a lot. We'd be kind of working with, we're members obviously of IDEA, we're members of the Wheel, we're members of DOCUS. So we always link in with all of those organisations as well, and the member groups that are all there. And I suppose the other ones that are kind of interesting, and when I think of the collaboration side of things and the partnership, I know that this year we've just gotten a project from Europe, which is ADEAR, the Development and Education. Sorry, I'm not going to say that because it's the DEAR Project Fund, and we're working in partnership with the Irish Environmental Network, with World Vision, with Social Justice Ireland, and ourselves. And I think that's a really interesting mix, because I think that we're all coming from different places. So I think this is where your partnership, I suppose, works really well. Where you're coming from, you have ourselves, I suppose, ECO-UNESCO coming from a youth perspective, very much from an environmental perspective, sustainability perspective. You've got the Irish Environmental Network, which are working very much with the national environmental organisations, but they're also very involved in the PPN network, and they're linking quite a lot with local authorities. You've got World Vision, which brings in your international perspective and your development perspective, and you've got Social Justice Ireland, which are basically a social organisation.
What do you think are the main benefits of collaboration and partnership?
I think the main benefits are that, I suppose it's always that thing, you're what is it, bigger than the sum of all your parts. It's all of that thing about when you're working together with people coming from different perspectives and from different places, that really often the product or the project or what you do is actually richer, because of all the input from the different agencies. So I think that's kind of where you have that real benefit. So again, just that DEAR project, you'd have that, all of the different perspectives coming together. Very similar, I suppose, another partnership actually we've been working on in partnerships is, we've ran a number of transnational youth meetings over the years, where we've worked with Erasmus+, we've worked with Lurgus, and we've got a good lot of partnerships with European youth organisations. And so you bring in the different perspectives from different countries, and those experiences for the young people that we work with. I mean, when we look back and we do an evaluation of the year, they'll often say that the biggest kind of experience, the best thing of the year was actually the transnational youth meetings with the with the other European partners, because they say that it was just such a fantastic experience to learn from each other. So I suppose that's what partnership is about. It's about really learning from each other.
What do you think is important to keep in mind in relation to barriers to partnership or potential obstacles?
I think obstacles, we're kind of, a lot of us, when you're working in the same field, you don't want there to be, I suppose it's the whole competition thing for funding and all of that side of things. So you can you want to get that out of the way, and I think you want to work together to do a piece of work or to do a project. I think that communication is really important. I mean, I think that there has to be really open communication between partners. I think if partners are not clear about what they're working on or what they're working towards, what the goals of the project are, I think that can muddy kind of the waters, and I think that can get quite confusing and maybe quite frustrating for partners. I think you can have a partner who just doesn't feel maybe that they're being heard or being listened to, and I think the open communication is really important. I think the things like MOUs, memorandum of understandings between partners, and to get that really done at the very start, to thrash all of that out, so that it doesn't become kind of an issue down the line. I think that and then to always have kind of I suppose key milestones in the relationship, and to have all of that type of stuff maybe planned out and laid out kind of clearly early on in the relationship.
And in terms of, you mentioned communications, and just around managing a partnership, how do you think you can keep up good communications and good relationships?
Yeah, I mean, I always think it's really important maybe to have one kind of point of contact within an organisation, where you're basically just working, even though that person might have a team of people working with them within the organisation, but that there is that one kind of person that they're linking in with. So you do have a lead. So within project management, within the management of the partnership, you've always that lead kind of person. Again, I think that you have very kind of clear, I suppose if you have a very clear life maybe of a project or of a partnership or of a collaboration of a partner of a strategic partnership, and that there are key milestones along the way that you basically then touch base on a regular basis. That's all hugely important as well. Yeah. And
then finally, with some of the changes we're facing in the world, with a lot of division, with the US pulling out of the Paris Agreement, there's a lot of flux right now. How do you think, particularly in relation to the development education, how do you think people can look outside of their own networks, groups and silos? Do you see any opportunities for partnering and collaborating with other groups or interests that we might normally think about?
Yeah, I think that we need to be talking to others. Yeah, I think we need to be getting outside of just the same people that we talk to, because this in a way is, you know, it's, I suppose it's one of the reasons that we have a situation where you've gotten you know, populist, you know, people in positions of power now, because I think that a lot of the time we're all talking to the same people and we think that everyone thinks the same that we do, as we do, and actually that's not the case. There's obviously people out there who have very different perspectives and very different views, and I think there is a challenge in engaging, because I think we can be quite, I mean maybe I'm just talking for myself, you have your specific views, or you're quite kind of open, and I suppose just to realise actually that not everyone is the same. I think that, I mean, I suppose in terms of groups and agencies that you can work with, I mean, I think it is looking at other kind of places. I know we, for example, we've been working a lot with, now we're a youth organisation of course, and but we work a lot with long term. We've been doing a green skills and youth employability programme. So we work quite a lot with long-term unemployed young people and at risk, what you consider kind of maybe at risk young people from disadvantaged communities all over the country, but mainly within the Dublin area. And I suppose that's not a target group that your normal kind of, that not your normal, but often your dev ed or your environmental education side of things, or ESD, might have been seen as quite kind of privileged and middle class. And it would have had that image, you know. So, but ECO-UNESCO as an organisation has always kind of worked with the groups that aren't necessarily wouldn't be seen, wouldn't be perceived as your main target group. So you work with your at-risk groups, your at-risk community groups, or your young people, and you're bringing them and introducing them to a world that actually they wouldn't have got introduced to. They're being introduced to concepts that they wouldn't have gotten introduced to otherwise.
It's great. Thanks so much for your time, Elaine.
No problem.